All right, you guys, a little bit of quick conjecture here. So we are using the MPEG B650i gaming edge Wi-Fi. This is AM5 socket, and the board is mostly assembled. This is a Ryzen 7900X, I think. Yep, 7950X. It's a 16 core 32 thread. I don't use anything less than 32 threads. Like my main rig, actually let's look at that. My main rigs, so this is what I was telling you guys about earlier, the very limited edition EK case that I built a hardline loop out of. You can see the distro plate there in the back. This is 128 cores, right? And this is my Singularity Computers build that needs to be updated. That 2080 Ti is gonna go, and we're gonna swap in something from the 50 series, probably a 5080. I don't think I need a 5090, but anyway. Here we have the board. 2MS, there's only room on this case for 2M.2s, so got 2 terabytes in here. That should be enough for now. If we need to, we can move to a 4 or 8 terabyte, 64 gigs of RAM. And you notice how the cooler's missing. Well, that's because, much like this case was designed around the ASUS Loki and the ProArt, there's only one cooler that's going to fit this motherboard in order for this to work. That's kind of like a custom part. And boom, we have the ID Cooling ID67 XT Black low profile CPU cooler. Now, I generally only liquid cool. This is going to be my very first air cooled build because I don't really believe in them, but this case is so unique, so beautiful, so machined that fuck, it is so beautiful that I just got to do, if the case is built around this fucking cooler, we're gonna do that because I just love that case so much. We are focused on the aesthetic and the coolness and the limited edition collectability of this case, so you don't need to sit here and watch me, put a cooler on the motherboard. I'm pretty sure most of you already know how to do that. Instead, I was just wanted to go through over the part, show you this custom cooler or this cooler that has to go with it, and instead we're just gonna do this. All right, you guys, this is all assembled into a nice sleek package. Got all your IO. I've got the ID67. Hopefully it's screwed in correctly. Yeah, I think so. So make sure it's not sagging one direction, but it is a... Let's see how the heat pipes turn this way. So there's a gap here, so. Okay, anyway, so this is on. And I already started putting this back together because as much as I thought, I was going to put a motherboard on, put this on the motherboard first, I was like, that actually is kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm going to do it the other way. And I think this should... slot in here and... oh, boom, perfect fit. I mean, the holes perfectly line up, so like I said, man, precision manufacturing. That's what I love about it. All right, let's start working on this. And after you're done with all 4, then go around and we're gonna give it a couple extra turns, just till it fully tightens, but don't over tighten. Very beautifully flush in these gaps. Your power supply and your graphic card. All right, you guys, so there's a lot easier way to do this. I was fighting with it and then I had the bright idea of like, hang on, I don't want to, try to force it and scratch the pins on the riser cable or cause any damage by trying to, roll it over. So instead, I released the screws on the back, so this is free, and that now leaves me freedom to kind of angle this in place. Now this is still a little bit like a thick cable, which is good because it's PCIe 4, and you want it to not have issues, just be careful you're not scraping any metal or pins, which is very hard to do. So I got it in once and then I'm doing it again for the camera. Once you have that in, boom, I've got my riser cable clicked, and then first you thought, oh no, how about the back? But it turns out, after you do that, and you come over here, there's so much slack and the screws normally line up. So this is now really a non-issue. So now take this, screw this back into position. Massage this and boom. Now the wiser. This is still properly kicked in, right? If I want to pull it out, and then boom. This part is very nicely executed. Like, this is just like in perfect precision machined engineering. Hell yeah. Very nice, guys. Fucking gorgeous. And your motherboard assembly is on. So next we gotta hook in the power supply, the graphic card, and then key in the power supply. We have the ASUS ProArt 4070 Ti Super. It's only going to fit this card and the 4080. Alright you guys, here we have the ProArt 4070 Ti, and what's amazing about this is an all black, all metal shroud. Now the plastic's still on there. This is the first time the case has been designed around a graphic card, because the entire FF04 chassis, with the way the finish is, and to match this card, in order to make this work, we're going to have to take apart the I/O shield, because the I/O shield is already on the case itself. And there's two more on top that you need to release. Alright, once you unloose all the screws and you take out these two, you could just, and as long as you make sure the plastic adapters are pulled out, you can pull the I/O shield. You didn't have to remove the whole back plate. Alright, let's do the peel, guys. Oh yeah. And here we have it, the beautiful metal shroud. Of the ASUS ProArt 4070 Ti. So only the 4070 Ti and the 4070 are made to flush specifically with this case because this is the only one with the connectors lined up. So what we do now, take our PCIe shield off. This is a perfect fit, these screws are, for the back pane of this card. So excited. Then what I'm going to do now is snap this thing into place. Boom, perfect flush. There are 4 holes here to secure the GPU with these screws that they've given you that have an engraving on it. And as usual, you want to pop all the screws in and just soft tighten them, don't over tighten, just till they catch. And then after that, go in and equally apply pressure on all 4. Alright, we actually have to reinstall the front panel bar, which has your USB-C and your power button. And we actually have to connect this back. So that this has to, we actually have to start popping these wires on. This was a perfect flush, but now we have to tighten it from underneath. And it's 2 screws that go back through here and here. All right, I left the USB for now because I need to put on the power supply to figure out how that is going to work. I did have to thread the power button carefully because there's such a weird spot on the motherboard over there, so, but this has enough slack and is out of the way now, so let's move on to the power supply next, guys. For the power supply, we have the ASUS Loki, and all your stuff that comes with it. You got all of your cables here, which we are not going to need because we have the custom cables from the XiKii FF04 itself. So we actually have to take apart the fan grill. Alright guys, so removing the fan grills releases these, gives you these 4 holes, and this one, this front bar lines up with the mirror finish, and you've got, make sure you want to nicely cable manage this in the bar, you don't want anything to get caught. And then got this nice connector, and it is then going to line in over here now, and this one's going to line over here. I believe that's what the M3 times 8mm and the M3 times 10mm that came in the XiKii bagger 4. So we've installed the rail system for the power supply, and I haven't plugged this in yet. And thank God for these custom cables that XiKii designed, because there's no way you're going to make this bend clean if this wasn't a custom design length. Yeah, so let's slap it on and see how it goes. Let's talk about a couple things real quick that I don't think other people have addressed. So number one, you have to be very careful with how you set up this rail system on the power supply. So I actually have it kind of halfway in there now, so it's almost all right. So what you want to do is you want to tighten this rail, but this one leave slack, because if you over tighten, it will never line up. Then pop this in here, and then if you have enough slack, this side would be fine put into place. And then there's your cable channel, and then you want to slide it back. And when you do that, you need to make sure this is lined up, and you should then be able to just key straight into the power supply. Line this up, and boom. That's how you have the PSU snapped into the railing system. All right, now that we've got that part, we want to make sure this cable is dressed carefully so that you can have a nice curve. You don't want to cross the cables, and boom, our GPU is hooked up. And now we have our custom ATX cable and custom CPU cable that we need to hook in, and let's get to that. Beautiful thing about the manufacturing is everything is so well set up. So got this in, and we have to have custom cables because there's no way to hide any excess. So got my ATX motherboard. Now this is going to come in here, and this is going to pop in over here. That's it. There's no room on this motherboard for a 2.5-inch drive or anything like that. Hooked in the motherboard, the CPU, everything is now hooked in. And we can start putting the case back together. Alright guys, I need to call attention to something that I think I've seen a lot of other reviews have not brought it up, but this panel doesn't just snap into place. In order for it to snap into place, you actually have to be really fucking careful with how this power cable is set up. This power cable has to fit into the groove here, and see how the only way to do it is to sort of, you're kind of doing like a 180 fold over, which I am not happy about because this feels a little bit scary to be having to fold over the power cable this way, just, you know, in order for that panel to work. But there's no other way to make this work. Believe me, I've been fussing with this for about 45 minutes now. I've tried putting the cable through there, that doesn't make sense. And the only way is to get this hooked into here. So, and then this way nothing gets caught, because there's only this much gap here to get this panel on. So once you do that though, then it automatically clicks. But this was a lot of work. So now I'm going to address this side, pop the other panel back on. Which, if you didn't do your cable runs perfect, this is not going to work. And this will lock in place. With everything finally back in place, now got to screw back in all the screws that hold these panels together. Slide this other panel, make sure nothing's in the way. So I've basically checked that the USB-C cable is plugged in, and then just hook this on the fan groove here. Boom, perfect flush. And we end the install with lastly, put your cover plate back and you're good to go. Now the only thing left to do is to see if it posts. Alright guys, here we go. And we have power. Not only that, there is your ARGB channel. Alright guys, we've come to the end of the build vlog, and this is the XiKii Industry FF04, and I think FF stands for fun. Again, XiKii is a Chinese customizer who does really impressive collector limited edition cases. He made this for fun for himself because he loved the ProArt, and I mean shit, matching the metal shroud, creating a case around it to match, that's kind of fucking awesome. And honestly, I normally wouldn't even buy black cases. All of my gear I prefer white, and the fact that they made this brush metal in black, and it's a complete blackout build. The only RGB you get is from the fan in there. It's just this is probably the coolest, one of the coolest machines I have ever built. And I've built a lot of water cooling rigs. This is my first air cooled that I was willing to do, and it's just fucking gorgeous, man. Like, this is just really next level stuff with this machine. So I'm very excited to have this. This is going to be an engineering showpiece. Even after the 4070 is long obsolete, it will still be an amazing machine that you can still do a lot with. So anyway, thanks for checking out this build video. Appreciate your support. It's our first computer video that we've done on this channel. I'm generally not very inspired unless I see something really fucking cool like this case that made me go, okay, I'm going to build again. There is the Thor Zone Tetra coming that might be really cool for a home theater PC or a Plex server, so we might do that. But as of right now, this is the XiKii Industry Super Limited FF04. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for supporting the Paint Collectible store. We'll see you guys in the next video.